Hi, everyone, and welcome to day 4 of Disability Pride Month celebration. Today, I woke up and I was like, what am I going to talk about? I talked a little bit about independence and freedom yesterday. Should I just talk about something fun? But then a really cool thing happened. The universe gave me material. And it came from two different sources. One was a dear friend of mine who I had an in-depth conversation about how the 4th of July is not really a very joyous occasion for some minorities, or actually all minorities, to be honest with you. And the other one came from a stranger that I follow on social media. His name is Dane Griffin. He's an amazing musician, so check him out and follow him. He does lives all the time. He's really good. Especially if you grew up in your high school years were in the early 2000s. He's totally your bread and butter with the songs that he sings. But anyway, so they both kind of made me realize when I heard them speak today that, again, this is not a holiday that, really encompasses the meaning behind it, which is like freedom for all. And being a person with a disability, I completely understand that because for all of you that might not know, the Americans with Disabilities Act was only passed in 1990. We're talking about 34 years ago that people with disabilities were acknowledged and shown that, yes, you can indeed go anywhere you want with, the right access material being built for you. So, and that's just not enough. It's really not. So, I actually wanted to give you guys a little bit of a history lesson about the ADA for all of you that might not know. And I want to start, I wrote some notes down, so I might read a little bit because I wanted to get it right. So, the godfather of the ADA is none other than Justin Dart Jr., who was a survivor of polio. And he tirelessly advocated and lobbied for the ADA to pass. He went to 50 different states to make sure that this was something that was going to happen, because he had faced so much discrimination throughout his life that it drove his advocacy to stratospheres that I hope to one day reach. He really was an amazing soul. Unfortunately, he's passed on. But I do have another friend of mine who has spoken on a stage with him, which is like mind-blowing to me. I mean, that's just the coolest thing. So he not only was the godfather of the ADA and advocated for it tirelessly, but he also co-founded the American Association of People with Disabilities, which is still an integral organization for those of us with disabilities. So thank you so much, Justin Dart, for all the work that you did throughout your life to ensure that people with disabilities are just able to live their best lives. Thank you. Next up is a personal hero of mine, Judith Heumann. Judith Heumann started out as an advocate when she was denied the right to be a teacher by the Board of Education in New York State. They denied her this because she was a wheelchair user. And this sparked one of many lawsuits that she was a part of, but this also was the president for the ADA. It really kind of was a domino effect of all civil rights advocacy for people with disabilities. So that's just amazing in itself. She also was the founding member of the independent living movement and was an integral leader in the World Institute on Disability. this and many other things, mainly the fact of her being a fierce person with a disability, solidified her legacy that will live on forever. Forever. And if it's up to me, I will continue her legacy and make sure that everyone knows about her, because she was a powerhouse. And I unfortunately didn't get to meet her personally, but I know many people that did, and they all, to this day, speak such great things about her. And I'm happy to carry the torch into the advocacy world now that she's no longer with us. Next up is Tony Coelho. I probably am saying that wrong. He was a congressman living with epilepsy, and he, again, faced a lot of discrimination throughout his life, but he was the one that not only helped gain the recognition for the ADA through Congress, but he also helped pass the Fair Housing Amendment in 1988, which ensured that housing, such as apartment buildings and condominiums, would have to have accommodations made for people with disabilities to have access to different living situations. So thank you, Tony, for that amazing help, because I live in an apartment and it would be very difficult to get from point A to point B if there wasn't ramps and there wasn't an elevator. So thank you. Next up is Patricia Wright. She's dubbed the General Patton, and Wright's strategic acumen, which I don't really know what that means, was instrumental in the passage of the ADA. She was also the director of the Governmental Affairs for the Disability Rights Education and Defense Fund. Wright coordinated the lobbying efforts for the ADA. So if it wasn't for her, Justin Dart probably wouldn't have gotten very far. So thank you so much, Patricia Wright. And lastly, but certainly not least, we have Ed Roberts, known as the father of the independent living movement. Ed's actions began when he fought for admission to the University of California, aka Berkeley, and was denied. Despite his rejection, though, Robert led the creation of the Berkeley Center for Independent Living. His advocacy emphasized empowerment and self-advocacy. And if you don't know about the Center for Independent Living, they are worldwide now. I actually had the honor of working at the South Florida chapter for about a year, maybe a little less, I don't remember. It was a while ago, but it was a great experience. Me and my friend Woody Beckham kind of spearheaded this writers group that they had at the time, and it was a really fun time. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope that you leave this live understanding a little bit more about the disability world and our history and what we've been through, because the reason why I wanted to talk about the ADA and the Fair Housing Act is that for a long time, people with disabilities were put into institutions, and before that, we were basically killed for being born with a disability or acquiring a disability. And so we've had to struggle a lot before these laws were put into place. And it's just such an amazing thing to know that I'm a part of something that, well, not me personally, but I'm a part of a community that really fought for their place in this country. And that, to me, is something to celebrate. Not so much, fighting against England and enslaving all these people. That, to me, is not something to celebrate. To me, what's to celebrate is the people that came before me that made it possible for me to do what I love to do, which is to be a public speaker and a children's book author. So thank you, Justin. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Tony. And thank you, Patricia. You guys are amazing. And this just was probably my favorite live that I've done. So I'm going to go, but I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.